Introduction. Baby steps and feeling sticky. I'm not lost, but I am simply and conveniently between purposes. And so it began. October 25th, 2024. Saying goodbye at the curb for departures at Seattle's SeaTac International Airport left me hollowed out as I walked through the airport doors without looking back, partly to avoid melodrama, mostly to avoid bursting into tears in front of the TSA agents. Towards an adventure that was, at that point, bittersweet. I wasn't chasing enlightenment or trying to ask the right questions. I just had a vague sense that answers I needed might involve monks and mountains, noodles and curries, and the kind of uncomfortable self discovery that makes you want to fake a phone call and leave the room. I needed distance, silence, beauty. Something in me had gone quiet, a hum I used to hear, forgotten over time, like a song that stops playing and you don't notice until the room feels wrong. Thailand wasn't the goal so much as the direction my compass pointed to when the noise got too loud. Not to escape exactly, but to remember what it felt like to move through the world with curiosity. And maybe, if I got lucky, with a little grace. What I didn't expect was how fully my journey would nudge me out of my apathetic yet painful self through joy, stillness, love, grief, and camaraderie. I wanted to feel me again, or at least find out what was left when the daily scaffolding of my former life finally collapsed. Thailand is a land of 65 million people where Buddhism isn't just a philosophy, but the cultural heartbeat of 93.5% of the population. As I boarded that first flight, these were simply abstract statistics. Walla Walla, Washington to Seattle to San Francisco to Hong Kong. And last, Bangkok. 35 plus hours of travel tests one's soul. That kind of long travel in economy will try and eliminate it entirely. From southeastern Washington state to Bangkok is a brutal slog, even when traveling light. Planes, trains, and automobiles carried me across the globe and left me even more hollowed out than when my soon to be ex and I parted at the departures curb. By the time I got to my boutique hotel in the middle of that sweltering morning, I was completely wiped out, physically and emotionally. My travel clothes were layered from long flights and the stale, chilly, recirculated air of airports and planes. It was late October. I had left the Pacific Northwest behind, a region in terminal velocity freefall towards winter temperatures, into my first experience of Southeast Asian continental heat and humidity. It felt like an inescapable sauna. Those clothes, thick and suffocating, were never meant for the subtropics. As I stepped out on the Suvarnabhumi International Airport on the outskirts of Bangkok into the dripping mid morning Thailand climate, I seriously considered burning my travel togs in a curbside sacrificial pyre, no matter the consequences. I didn't, but it wasn't for lack of motivation. And then it got worse. The hour long taxi ride through convoluted spaghetti woven Bangkok highways and surface roads slipped by my exhausted, indifferent eyes. Before leaving the US, I had emailed the hotel explaining my mid morning ETA, requesting an early check in. When I arrived, the staff was just beginning the turnaround and the previous occupants of my room hadn't checked out yet. I was too early for my room by hours, and no early check in was available. I sighed, swapped Birkenstocks and socks for flip flops, left my small roll on and day pack with the front desk to find the hotel bar. It was outside. Of course it was. I nursed an ice cold beer, okay, three, while waiting semi patiently for my room, and more importantly, the shower. Concluding a fourth beer was definitely a bad idea, I strolled the block to take in the local surroundings and get my bearings. I was smack dab in the middle of Bangkok. I didn't know a soul, how to get around, or where to grab a bite to eat. Bangkok, a sprawling city of over 11 million people, spreading across nearly 607 square miles, is massive. And it is busy. Sitting at sea level, the elevation averaging just under 5 feet above, with the Gulf of Thailand abutting the southernmost district of the Bangkok metro area, Bang Kung Thian. It radiates a brutal subtropical heat and humidity. That hit especially hard for a Pacific Northwest guy used to aridity and normal temperatures. Bangkok is divided into 50 districts. 35 are to the east of Chao Phraya River, known as Krung Thep, while the other 15 occupy the western Thonburi side. These are broken down into 224 neighborhoods. When someone tells you they did Bangkok, you know that they, like me, barely scratched the surface, no matter how long they stayed or how widely they explored. Saying I was overwhelmed could be the understatement of the year. I had 2 nights in Bangkok before heading north to Chiang Mai, another city I knew almost nothing about. What I had gleaned from research and way too many hours watching Vapid Top 10 What You Should Do Because I Did Them videos couldn't tell me much more beyond surface gloss. Fun fact: Bangkok holds the record for the longest official city name in the world. Thai children learn it as a song in school, and it's heartwarmingly adorable to see a local light up when they get ready to sing it. Their eyes smile first, followed by a broad, prideful grin. It's beautifully sincere. Here we go. Krung Tep Maanakan Amon Ratanakosin Mahintara Ayutthaya Maadilok Pop Noparat Ratchathani Buri Rom Udom Ratchaniwet Maasatan Amon Piman Awatan Satit Sakata Tiya Witsanukam Prasit. And breathe. Just out the gate of my hotel, uneven underfoot, not exactly sidewalk nor street, simply a faded, broken paint stripe battling for relevance and survival, to show you where, if you dare, walk. Types and shapes of vehicles, many unfamiliar to me except from pictures, whizzed by on the wrong side of the road from what I'm accustomed to. That alone proved to be challenging considering my state of mind and dishevelment. Pedestrian right of way simply does not exist in Thailand. Yeah, okay, it does legally, but tell that to the millions of scooters, tuk-tuks, cars, carts, buses, trucks, and every other form of transportation plying those roadway waters. By the time I got back to the poolside bar, my 501s and heavy long sleeve hoodie I had worn for an eternity clung to me like clammy neoprene and smelled just as bad. I was a walking PSA for a heat stroke. Wilson, the kind, generous, and perceptive concierge at the hotel, La Petite Salile Tongalore, one in the Sukhumvit neighborhood, greeted me with impeccable English. Mr. Davidson, what brings you to Bangkok? Actually, Bangkok is only my first quick stop for a couple of nights. I'm traveling as much of Thailand as I can squeeze in over 3 months, I replied. Where are you going next? Wilson's questions were direct and curious. To Chiang Mai for a few nights to dump the jet lag, then up to the mountains for a month to ordain as a monk. Wilson said nothing, just smiled, his eyes locking onto mine. Feeling the weight of his silence, I dragged the conversation forward. I'm going to I Monastery for the month of November. After that, I'm traveling north to south to explore Thailand. It's my first time here. Wilson politely asked for my phone. I was curious about his request, but had heard that Thais love to connect, so I handed it over. He tapped in his personal cell number into my contacts for me. Anytime you need advice or help, day or night, call or text me, Wilson exclaimed. That single, quietly beautiful act of kindness and generosity told me everything about the heart of the Thai people. Traveling to the eccentric, massive Asian canvas was my target. It was part of the globe I'd never explored before, and that needed to change. Planning undertaken through duress and depression was a daunting and lonely task. I chose the ancient, semi mythical, exotically romantic, and sensuously erotic Thailand for many reasons. My first focus was a Theravada Buddhist monastery that welcomes Westerners to experience monastic life as a fully ordained monk. Why? I'll get to that later. Nestled high up in the mountain jungles along the Luang River, about 60K across mountainous terrain from the small city of Pai in the province of Chiang Mai, I would relinquish time and mind to Buddha in northwestern Thailand. I'd ordained as a monk in the Dhammakaya order, live a clean, insightful life, learn more about the Dhamma, strengthen my meditation practice, and hopefully become a better man along the journey. My previous life, once full of love and laughter, now in ragged tatters like a shredded pirate flag long forsaken by her crew, had come to a horrendous crash and burn end. I needed change, and to heal myself before I could ask forgiveness from anyone. After a monastic detox, the plan was to spend my remaining months exploring Thailand, from the northern town of Chiang Saen, where Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar meet along the mighty Mekong River in the zone notoriously known as the Golden Triangle, famous for opium production, money laundering, smuggling, and most recently, cybercrime. Then I'd meander south to Ko Chang, a lush national park island in the Gulf of Thailand, which is almost within swimming distance of Cambodia. This seemed like a damned fine idea. My plan also included avoidance, steering clear of the heavily infested hotspots, Phuket and Pattaya, where 90% of Thailand tourists congregate. That wasn't a mistake. It was intentional, and it carried hard honed prejudice. I didn't need drunken hordes and rayon elephant pants with buckets of booze, turning my adventure into a farcical comedy of fear and loathing. I wanted discovery, immersion. I wanted to learn about that mysterious place historically known as Siam, to live the life of an adventurous vagabond, to see how and where Thailand would blow my mind and wend its way into my heart. If things went well, seen through the lens of a surreal Casat landscape and impressionist illusion, this would be my first, but not last, journey to Asia. As my plans fell into place, a wise and infuriatingly insightful friend asked if I was running away or towards something. I tried with bravado to answer honestly. I blurted out, though with little conviction, towards. But I was lying. That wasn't even half true. Painful personal life issues aside, shaking the dust off from my overly familiar town where family and friends love me, to fly someplace different in every way, I would be alone for my birthday, except for hanging out with monks chanting ancient passages in Pali. That did not have me anticipating a raucous birthday party. Then missing the warm familial traditions of winter holidays, it was a complex, anxiety inducing chunk of work, but it was also exciting. And despite leaving hearth and home, I wouldn't have changed a thing, except sharing the adventure with that special someone I still cared deeply for. Planning a trip to a faraway exotic land, somewhere you've fantasized about over the years, is a massive undertaking. FYI, martinis help. I've always encouraged family and friends to do this at least once in their lives. It is important. Why? Because expanding one's horizons should be a part of personal life goals. It breaks the rut of routine. Not the monastic part. That's not for everyone because unless you're already practicing meditation and have a yearning for a spiritual quest, it's not a path I recommend. Two reasons jump to mind. One, you're going abroad, hyped up for your trip, craving to experience everything your destination has to offer, which dovetails into reason two, slamming the brakes on the excitement that travel affords for a month of serene meditative practice in an isolated yet beautiful jungle retreat is a hard way to wrap your headspace around. It is extremely healthy, even vital for the ego to be humbled by the sheer mass and kindness of people in a different land. Different languages, customs, mores, and lifestyles can easily throw you for a loop, especially when your cultural norms don't matter. You want a Western breakfast of eggs, bacon, hash browns with an extra side of cholesterol? Why the hell would you want that? You can get that at home anytime, or go to a Western chain hotel if you're jonesing hard. Don't be afraid of the dim sum, noodles, soups, mystery meats and fish, stews, fruits and vegetables available all around you. Get out of your comfort zone and open your senses and heart to what's local. For those of you worried about getting sick, look at it this way. All those people who eat, live, and love in those faraway places, they're alive and thriving in numbers. If it was really dangerous to eat and drink there, they'd all be dead. Travel planning. The flights, visas, locations, transportation, SIM card, money exchange, accommodations, shots, all needed research and commitment. Is this the right place? Is there a better flight? How do I get around? Do they have toothpaste, deodorant, toilet paper? What about this and that and the other thing? Well, the brain spins into monkey mind mode. That pesky monkey really gets in the way of making decisions. Thoughts racing along, 19 trains running at different speeds simultaneously on 12 tracks with no conductors. Try to be decisive with that running through your untrained and unfocused mind. Hence, the monastery. But that is the high wire act of travel. We endure chaos because we believe deeply, possibly irrationally, that something extraordinary will happen, that we'll see ourselves clearly for once. A stranger from a world not our own might greet us with a soft smile, wave us over, and share a bowl of something impossibly fragrant and delicious, its steam curling into the air in welcome. And in that quiet lane, in a town whose name we can't pronounce, no matter how hard we try, we'll carry that moment forever in our hearts. Those precious moments happen more often than you imagine. To deeply connect with yourself, your resilience, your stamina, your empathy and compassion, that is all part of someplace different. The willingness to observe through unfiltered eyes and heart the beauty, both subtle and grand, of a foreign land where every sensory input, the sights, smells, language, taste, and sounds are completely different from what you know, is incredibly rewarding. You'll feel it in your heart and soul. That it feeling wells up inside as you grasp that you're actually inside a grand adventure. Apathy. It's that slow erosion of wonder and lives inside us all. The need for new runs through all our veins, sometimes to ruinous effect. The familiar leads to a lack of awe at the predictable, gentle kindness of everyday life. Apathy is the soul crusher that makes our brains lazy, crazy, and desperate for stimulation in any form. Why do you think TV, social media, casinos, movies, games, streaming services, live sports, and parties are so popular? It's because those take us away from the repetitive boredom of everyday life. It's that moment when you realize that waking up will lead to our routine that falls short of a James Bond life and simply give in to the unremarkable. It can be paralyzing. That's the dirty secret of comfort. It doesn't satisfy, it sedates. But what so many of us crave for is not a same day. It's not, it's that not same day, where everything is new and different, wondrous and exciting, that drives me to explore beyond my comfort zone. It's why travel is healthy. It shatters apathy's hold over the soul. I've had the fortunate opportunity to travel in my life, and though it can be intimidating, the rewards far outweigh the uncertainties. It is those unnerving uncertainties, the unknowns that many people shoulder when planning their vacations. That's why all inclusive resorts, where guests never leave the facility, of course I've been to Mexico, it's wonderful, you never have to leave the pool, are so popular. That's not Mexico. It's your any town where everything is Mexican themed. But those places are not Mexico in any way except geographically. And this is not endemic to Mexico. You can find those rube paradises everywhere the sun shines, and the results are always the same: hangovers, bloated waistlines, a t shirt, logo hat, and a phone full of food, drink, and sunset pictures to show for it. You're lucky if you get out of those places without drunkenly signing up for a timeshare. Instead, go somewhere foreign. Immerse yourself in a culture completely different from your own, even if you were irrationally terrified at the mere prospect of settling down in a strange land. And unless you're planning a sexcation, you should do it with a romantic partner. It's much better to share those encounters with someone you love and enjoy traveling with, to experience whatever adventures come your way together. Laugh at your mistakes. And believe me, you'll make a few. Revel in little victories like figuring out how to use the ticket machine for the subway together. Discover what those golden fried balls sizzling away at the street cart are. Hint, they're delicious. Learn how to politely say hello, goodbye, please, and thank you, and how to order food and drink without being bossy or rude. How to hail a cab, or ride in a maniac driven tuk tuk zipping through lanes of traffic, dodging bumpers and pedestrians by an inch. What's the worst that can happen? You could get sick from food or water, or you might get pickpocketed, or you'll lose your passport or phone. In the real world, these problems rarely happen. Be observant. Be careful how you carry yourself as you step out of your hotel door, and stop draping yourself in jewelry. That's setting yourself up as a target for the ne'er do wells of the world. Everywhere seems dangerous and terrifying with evils around every corner if you make yourself a target. You'll find that you don't need to flash your status around because the locals really don't care that you have a Gucci bag or a Rolex. At least, not the folks you want to hang out with. Those muggers hanging out in every shadowy doorway, those dope fiends looking to jack you up, they're rife throughout travel stories and posts. We all hear dire warnings from the minority to whom bad things have happened to, more often than not because flashing gold, diamonds, and a fat roll of cash in public was their preferred method of ego fulfillment. How often do you hear about or read stories from the vast number of travelers, the overwhelming majority, I'll add, who had an amazing vacation and nothing dire happened on their trip? I didn't think so. Travel, at its best, rearranges your molecules. It doesn't care about your itinerary. It's there to challenge, unmake, and reforge you. You'll get knocked off course, and if you're lucky, that's when things get good. When fear gives way to wonder with a healthy dose of humility thrown in for good measure. Then add in some prudent measures for your personal well being. When you share heartfelt laughs with strangers and awe blooms inside of you as your eyes take in sights you thought you'd never see, then throw in some exhaustion driven sleep. That's when you know you're on the path to adventure, come what may. Remember, adventure doesn't come looking for you. You must chase it, stumble into it, then welcome it with open arms and an open heart. Just don't forget to enjoy the ride.